Franny. "Can't you feel the earth trembling and quaking?" "Here's a mountain coming on top of us," shouted Joe, and pulled Beth and Franny down a nearby hole. Saucepan peered down, laughing. "No earthquake and no mountain," he said. "Just an ordinary giant coming along whose footsteps shake the ground." The noise and the earthquake grew worse and then passed. The giant had gone by. Everyone breathed again and crept out of the hole. "I suppose that's a rabbit hole we were in, where giant rabbits live," said Beth. "No, a wormhole where giant worms live," said Moonface. "I saw one down at the bottom, like an enormous snake." "Oh dear, I won't go down a hole like that again," said Franny. But she did when another earthquake and walking mountain appeared. It was another giant, tall as the sky, his great feet shaking the earth below. "Come on," said Moonface, when the second giant had gone safely by. "We must hurry, and for goodness sake get out of the way if another giant comes by, because we don't want to be squashed like raisins under his feet." The third giant stopped when he came near them. He bent down, and the children saw that he wore glasses on his enormous nose. They looked as large as shop windows. "Ah, what are these little creatures?" said the giant, in a voice that boomed like a thunderstorm. "Beetles, I should think, or ants. Most extraordinary. I've never seen any like them before." There was no hole to slip down. The children saw that the giant was trying to pick one of them up. An enormous hand with fingers as thick as young tree trunks came down near them. Everyone was too scared to move, and there was nowhere to hide except for a large dandelion growing as tall as a tree nearby. But Saucepan had a bright idea. He undid his biggest saucepan and clapped it on top of the giant's thumb. It fitted it exactly and stuck there. The giant gave a loud cry of surprise and lifted up his hand. He stood up to see this funny thing that had suddenly appeared on his thumb, and Saucepan yelled to everyone, "To the dandelion! Quick, hurry!" They rushed to the tall dandelion plant. One of the heads floated high above them, a beautiful, ripe dandelion clock, full of seeds ready to fly off in the wind. Saucepan shook the stalk violently, and some of the seeds flew off, floating in the air on their parachute of hairs. "Catch the stalks of the seeds, catch them, and let the wind float you away," yelled Saucepan. "The giant won't guess we're flying off with the dandelion seeds." So each of them caught hold of a dandelion seed. Franny got two and held on tightly. Then the wind blew, and the plummy seeds floated high in the air, taking everyone with them. They saw the giant kneel down on the ground to look for the funny creatures that had put the saucepan on his thumb. But then they were off and away, floating high in the breeze. "Keep together! Keep together!" called Moonface, grabbing Silky's hand. "We don't want to be blown apart all over Giant Land. We'd never meet again. Hold hands when you get near." Franny was nearly lost because she had hold of two seeds instead of one and was blown higher than the others. But Joe managed to grab her feet and pulled her down beside him. He made her leave go of one of the dandelion seeds and took hold of her hand firmly. Now they were all linking hands in pairs and kept together well. They floated high over Giant Land, marvelling at the enormous castles there, the great gardens and tall trees. "Even the faraway tree would look small here," said Beth. "Look, there's a boundary between the Land of Marvels and Giant Land," cried Saucepan suddenly, almost letting go of his dandelion seed in his excitement. "I've no idea we would get there so soon. What a wall!" It was indeed a marvellous wall. It rose steadily up, so high that it seemed to have no end, and it shimmered and shook as if it was made of water. "It's a magic wall," said Saucepan. "I remember seeing it before. No giant can get in or out, over or under it, because it's painted with giant-proof paint." "What's that?" asked Joe, shouting. "Giant-proof paint can only be bought in the land of marvels," explained Saucepan. "Anything painted with it keeps giants away, just like the smell of camphor keeps moths away. It's marvellous. No giant can come close to anything painted with that silvery magic paint. I only wish I had some." "Well, how are we to get over or under this wall?" said Moonface as they floated near. "It may be giant-proof, but it looks as if it's us-proof too." "Oh no, we can go right through it," said Silky. You'll see that as soon as we get right up to it. It won't be there. It's only giant-proof." This sounded impossible, but Silky's words were quite true. When they reached the wall, it gave one last shimmer and was gone. The children floated right down into the land of marvels, where everything was the right size. It was a great relief to see things properly again, and not to have to crane your neck to see if a flower was a daisy or a pimpernel. They floated to the ground, let go of their dandelion seeds, which gradually became the right size once they were away from Giant Land, and looked round them. "There's the ladder without a top," said Silky, pointing. "No one has ever climbed beyond the 3,000th rung because they get so tired. And there's a tree that sings. It's singing now." So it was, a whispery, beautiful song, all about the sun and the wind and the rain. The children could understand it perfectly, although the tree did not use any words they knew. It just stood there and poured out its song in tree language. "I could listen to that for ages," said Joe, "but we really must get on. Now, we must all hunt for Connie. Let's shout for her, shall we? Now, all together, shout." They shouted, "Connie! Connie! Connie!" An old woman nearby looked angrily at them. "Be quiet," she said, making such a noise. "I've a good mind to change you all into a thunderstorm. Then you can make as much noise as you like. It's bad enough to have one child here making a fuss and yelling and screaming without having a whole crowd." "Oh, have you seen a child here?" said Joe at once. "Where is she, please? We are looking for her." "She went up the ladder that has no top," said the old woman, "and she hasn't come down. I hope she stays up there forever." "Oh, bother, Connie," groaned Joe. "Now we'll have to do a bit more climbing and see how far up the ladder she's gone. Come on." So off they all went to the shining ladder that stretched from the ground up and up and up. No top could be seen. "I'll go," said Moonface. "I'm not tired, and all of you are. I'll bring Connie down. I doubt if she's gone further than the 100th rung." He went up the ladder, and the others sat down at the bottom waiting. They waited, and they waited. Why didn't Moonface come back? Chapter 7, Up the Ladder That Has No Top. Joe and the others waited and waited, looking up the ladder every now and again. Beth got impatient and wandered off to look at some of the marvels. Joe called her back. "Beth, don't go wandering off by yourself, for goodness sake. We don't want to lose you as soon as we find Connie. We'll have a look at the marvels when Moonface brings Connie back." "Well, he's such a long time up the ladder," complained Beth. "I did want to go and see the cat that tells fortunes. She might tell me how we can get back home." "Back through Giant Land, I suppose," said Silky. "I wish Moonface would come," sighed Franny, looking up the ladder for the 20th time. "What is he doing up there?" Surely Connie can't have climbed very far. Moonface had gone up a good way. He climbed steadily, looking up every now and again, hoping to see Connie. At last, he saw a pair of feet, and he gave a yell. "Connie, I've come to rescue you. It's Moonface coming up the ladder." The feet didn't move. They were big feet, and it suddenly struck Moonface that they were too big to be Connie's. He looked above the feet and saw a goblin looking down at him. "Oh," said Moonface, "I thought you were Connie. Let me pass, please." "Can't think why there's so much traffic on this ladder today," said the goblin, grumbling as he sat to one side. He had big feet, big hands, a big head, and a very small body, so he looked rather odd. On his knees he balanced a big can of paint, out of which stuck a paintbrush. "What are you doing up here?" asked Moonface. "Painting or something?" "I'm the goblin painter who made that wall giant-proof," said the goblin. He pointed to where the wall between Giantland and the Land of Marvels shimmered and quivered like a heat haze. "But I got into trouble with Witch Wiley, who used to go and shop in Giantland. I splashed some of my paint over her, and that meant she was giant-proof too. No giant in Giantland could go near her, so she couldn't do any more shopping. So she chased you, I suppose, to put a spell on you, and you rushed up the ladder that has no top," said Moonface, sitting down beside him to peer at his paint. "Bad luck. Why doesn't she chase you up here?" "She doesn't like climbing," said the goblin, "but she's waiting down there at the bottom, I'm sure of it." "She isn't," said Moonface. "I've just come up, and there was no witch down there. You go on down now and see. I'm sure you can slip off and escape." "She said she'd empty my giant-proof paint all over me if she caught me," said the goblin miserably. "Well, leave it here with me," said Moonface. "I'll bring it down for you. Then, if the witch is at the bottom, it won't matter, because you won't have your paint with you." "Right," said the goblin, cheering up. He tied the handle of his paint can to a rung of the ladder and began to go down. Moonface suddenly remembered Connie, and he called down to the goblin, "Hey, just a minute. Have you seen a little girl go up the ladder?" "Oh, yes," said the goblin, stopping. "A dirty little girl, very frightened. She was crying. She pushed past me very rudely indeed. I didn't like her." "Oh, that's Connie all right," said Moonface, and he began to climb up again. "I hope she hasn't gone too far up. She really is a nuisance." He lost sight of the goblin. He went on climbing up and up, and at last he heard a miserable voice above him. It was Connie's. "I can't climb any farther. This ladder doesn't lead anywhere. I can't climb down because that goblin will scold me. I shall have to stay here for the rest of my life. Boo-hoo! Boo-hoo!" Connie sobbed, and 2 or 3 tears splashed down on Moonface's head. He rubbed them off. Then he saw Connie's feet above him. "Hey, Connie!" he called. Connie gave a shriek and almost fell off the ladder. Moonface felt it wobbling. "Oh, oh, who is it?" cried Connie, and began to climb hurriedly up the ladder again, afraid that the goblin was after her. This was too much for Moonface. Here he was, having gone all the way to the Land of Marvels, through Giantland, and up goodness knows how many rungs of the ladder. And just as he had found Connie, she began climbing up and up again. He caught firmly hold of one of her ankles. She screamed, "Let go! I'll pinch you! Let go!" "You come down," commanded Moonface. "I've come to take you back home, you silly girl. You've caused us all a lot of trouble. Come on down. I'm Moonface." Connie sat down on the ladder with great relief. She put her arms around Moonface as he came up beside her and hugged him. "Moonface, I was never so pleased to see anyone. Tell me how you got here." "No," said Moonface, wriggling away. "There's no time. The others are waiting at the foot of the ladder. Come on down, you silly girl." "But there's a gob," began Connie. No, there isn't, said Moonface, beginning to wonder how many other people there were sitting on the ladder, afraid to go down because they thought someone was watching for them at the bottom. There's no goblin and no witch and no nothing, only Joe, Beth, Franny, Silky and Saucepan. Come on, please. He made Connie climb down below him. Now, if you don't climb down pretty fast, I shall be treading on your fingers, he said, and that made Connie climb down much more quickly than she had meant to. Down and down they went, down and down, and at last there they were on the ground. The others crowded round them. Moonface, we thought you were never coming. Connie, are you all right? A goblin came hurrying down, but he wouldn't stop to tell us anything. Moonface, what have you got in that can? Moonface showed them the can of giant-proof paint he had brought down with him. He had untied it from the ladder when he came to it. He told them about the goblin. Connie was longing to tell her adventures too. She told them at last. When I got here into this land, I wandered a bit, she said, and I came to the cat that could tell fortunes, so I asked her to tell me mine. And she told me all kinds of nasty things that would happen to me, so I scolded her, and she hissed and ran away. You naughty girl, said Silky. Well, she shouldn't have said nasty things to me, said Connie. Then a goblin, whose cat it was, chased me and said he would lock me up. Horrid creature. The others laughed. They thought Connie deserved all she got. So I suppose you shot up the ladder to escape and didn't dare to come down, said Joe. Yes, said Connie, and I was so pleased to see Moonface. I don't like this land, and I don't like the faraway tree either, or the enchanted wood. Or me, or Beth, or Franny, or Silky, or Moonface, or Saucepan, I suppose, said Joe. Pleasant child, aren't you? I think if I was a goblin, I would certainly chase you away. Well, what about going home? It's getting late. Oh dear, have we got to go through Giant Land again? Said Silky. I didn't like those enormous giants. I'm afraid of their great big feet. Yes, we've got to go through Giant Land, said Moonface. But I've got an idea. I'll splash you all with a few drops of giant-proof paint. Then no giant can come near us. We'll be like that, all giant-proof. Oh, what a good idea, said Beth. So Moonface quickly dabbed a few drops of paint on each of them. The places he dabbed shone and shimmered strangely like the wall. The children laughed. We look peculiar. Never mind, if it keeps the giants away from us, it will be worth it. They made their way to the shining wall, which disappeared as they walked through it and reappeared again as soon as they were on the other side. Then they began to walk cautiously through Giant Land to find the top of the beanstalk. Many giants were out taking an evening walk. Some of them saw the children and pointed in surprise. They knelt down to pick them up, but they couldn't touch them. The giant-proof paint prevented any giant from getting too near, and no matter how they tried, they couldn't get hold of any of the little group of friends. This is jolly good stuff, this paint, said Joe, pleased. It was a good idea of yours, Moonface. Look, there's the top of the beanstalk, said Silky happily. Now we won't be long. The giants followed them to the beanstalk. The children and the others climbed down as quickly as they could, half afraid that the giants might shake the beanstalk so that they would fall off. But they didn't. They just called rudely down after them. They got to the ground and sighed with relief. My goodness, we're late, said Joe, looking at his watch. We must head for home at once. Where's that train? Soon they were in the funny little train. They got out at the enchanted wood, said goodbye to Moonface, Silky and Saucepan, and made their way home. Connie was very tired. Well, I guess you didn't enjoy the party very much, said Joe to Connie. And what about the faraway tree and the people there? Do you believe in them now? I suppose I'll have to, said Connie, but I didn't like any of them much, except Moonface. I can't bear Saucepan. He doesn't seem to like you either, said Beth. Well, Connie, you don't need to come with us again if you don't want to. We can leave you behind. But that didn't please Connie. No, she meant to go where the others went. She wasn't going to be left out. Chapter 8. The Faraway Tree Again. Mother wasn't very pleased to see how dirty, ink-stained and ragged Connie's clothes were when she came back with the others. I won't let you go with the others to the faraway tree again if you can't keep yourself cleaner than this, she said crossly. Connie was not used to being talked to like this, and she burst into tears. The children's mother popped Connie's clothes into the wash tub and said, Tomorrow you will iron and mend these clothes, Connie. Stop that noise, or I will send you to bed straight away. All the children were tired and fell asleep as soon as their heads touched the pillow. When Connie woke up, she remembered all that had happened the day before and wondered if she could possibly have dreamt it. It seemed so amazing when she thought about it. Are we going to the faraway tree again? She asked Joe when they were all having breakfast. Joe shook his head. No, we've got lots of work to do, and anyway, you didn't like it, or the people there, so we'll go alone. Connie looked as if she was going to burst into tears. Then she remembered that tears didn't seem to bother anyone here, so she blinked them away. What lamb will be at the top of the tree this week? She asked. Don't know, said Joe. Anyway, we're not going, Connie. We've had enough travelling this week. For the next 2 days it rained so hard that Mother wouldn't let the children go out. They heard nothing from their friends in the faraway tree. The next day was sunny, and the sky was a lovely blue, as if it had been washed clean by all the rain, said Franny. Let's go to the enchanted wood. Can we, Mother? Well, yes, I think so, said Mother. I badly want a new saucepan, a nice little one for boiling milk. You could go and ask the saucepan man to sell me one. Here's some money. Oh, lovely, said Beth, overjoyed at the thought of visiting the faraway tree folk again. We'll go this morning. I'm going too, said Connie. You're not, said Joe. You're going to stay at home like a good girl and help Mother. You'll like that. Indeed I won't, said Connie. Don't be mean. Take me with you. Well, it's no fun taking you anywhere, said Joe. You've got bad manners, and you don't do what you're told, and people don't like you. You'll be far better at home. Anyway, you don't believe in anything in the enchanted wood, so why do you want to come? Because I don't want to be left out, wailed Connie. Let me come. I'll be good. I'll have nice manners. I'll like everyone. Well, you won't go in that nice dress, said Mother firmly. I'm not going to let you spoil another one. If you go, you must borrow some old clothes of Franny's. They're a bit patched, but that won't matter. Connie didn't want to wear Franny's old clothes, but she went to put them on. She couldn't bear being left out, and if the others were going off to the wood, she really must go too. She came back wearing Franny's old washed-out clothes. You look sensible now, said Joe. Very sensible. It won't even matter if you go down the slippery slip without a cushion again. That material won't wear out in a hurry. Come on, everybody. They set off, Joe jingling the money for the saucepan in his pocket. They jumped over the ditch and landed in the enchanted wood. At once, everything seemed magic and different. Connie felt excited again. She was longing to see Moonface, who, since he had rescued her from the land of marvels, had become her hero. They came to the faraway tree. It was so hot that the children didn't feel like climbing up. We'll go up on cushions, said Joe. We'll send the red squirrel up to tell Moonface to send some down on the ropes. He whistled a little tune, and the red squirrel popped out of his hole. Your sweater is getting so holey you won't be able to keep it on soon, said Beth. I know, said the squirrel, but I don't know how to mend it. I'll do it for you one day, said Beth. I'm good at needlework. Now, Squirrel, please go up to Moonface and ask him to send down 4 cushions on ropes. It's really too hot to climb up today. The red squirrel bounded up the tree as light as a feather, his plumey tail waving behind him. The children sat down and waited, watching the funny little folk that trotted up and down the big tree going about their business. There soon came a rustling of leaves, and down through the branches came 4 fat cushions tied firmly to ropes. Here we are, said Joe, jumping up. Moonface has been jolly quick. Choose a cushion, Connie, and sit on it. Hold the rope tightly, give it 3 tugs, and up you'll go. It was exciting. Connie sat on the big soft cushion, held onto the rope, and gave it 3 tugs. The rope was hauled up from above, and Connie went swinging upwards between the branches. She saw that the tree was growing apricots that day. She wondered if they were ripe. She picked one, and it was deliciously sweet and juicy. She thought she would pick another one, but by that time the tree was growing acorns, which was disappointing. Soon everyone on the broad branch outside Moonface's house. He was there with Mr. What's-his-name, pulling hard at the ropes. Hello, said Mr. What's-its-name, beaming at the children. Haven't seen you for a long time. You've always been asleep when we've come here, said Joe. What's-its-name? This is Connie. Ah, how do you do, said What's-its-name. Is this the little girl Saucepan was telling me about? She doesn't look so dirty and ragged as he said. Well, began Connie indignantly. Fancy Saucepan saying... Now, don't lose your temper, said Joe. After all, you did look dirty and ragged the other day. Where is Saucepan, Moonface? I want to buy something from him. He's gone up into the land at the top of the tree, said Moonface. He heard that there was an old friend of his there, little Miss Muffet, and he wanted to go and see her. She once gave him some curds and whey when he was very hungry, and he has never forgotten it. It was the only time in his life he ever tasted curds and whey. Oh, said Joe. Well, what land is up there this week then? The land of nursery rhyme, said Moonface. So What's-its-name says anyway. You went up, didn't you, What's-its-name, and saw little Tommy Tucker and little Jack Horner? Yes, said What's-its-name. Quite an interesting land, all sorts of friendly people there. Let's go up and find Saucepan, said Beth. It will be fun. It's quite a harmless land, that's obvious. Goodness knows how long Saucepan will be up there with little Miss Muffet. Maybe he's feasting on curds and whey again and won't be back for days. Oh, please, let's go, said Connie. And Moonface, dear Moonface, you come too. Don't call me dear Moonface, said Moonface. You're not my best friend yet. Oh, said Connie, who was so used to being fussed and spoilt by everyone that she couldn't understand anybody not liking her. I think it would be fun to go up and see the nursery rhyme people, said Joe. Come on, let's go now. We could get a saucepan from the old Saucepan man while we're there and take it back with us. Well, come along then, said Moonface, and he led the way up the topmost branch of the tree. One by one they climbed it, came to the little ladder that led through the cloud, and found themselves in yet another land. The land of nursery rhyme, said Beth, looking round. Well, we should know most of the people here, though they won't know us. I wonder where Saucepan is. He could introduce us to everyone. We'll ask where little Miss Muffet lives, said Moonface. Look, that must be Jack Horner over there carrying a pie. Ask him where Miss Muffet is, said Franny. So they went over to where a plump little boy was just about to make a hole in his pie with his thumb. Please, where is Miss Muffet? Asked Joe. Over the other side of the hill, said Jack Horner, pointing with a juicy thumb. Look out for her spider. He's pretty fierce today. And that's where I'm leaving it.